Hello, my lovelies, and welcome to episode 89 of the Prosperous Yogini Podcast. And this is another one of the episodes where I've dived into sort of like the archives, for whatever better word, of questions that have been submitted to me over time, over various coaching calls. And this one is another one from the Profitable Yoga Business Roadmap Masterclass that I did back in January. If you hop back to a few episodes ago, I took a selection of questions from newly qualified yoga teachers. So if you're in the first few years of your business, episode 87 will be so useful for you. Now, this question comes from a yoga teacher who's been teaching for 5 years. And on the surface, it is about email marketing. And there is going to be some practical tips on email marketing. But in a moment, I will read out the question, and I'm just going to lovingly point out how so much of the stuff we think we need to do, the stuff we think we can't do, isn't about actually our subject knowledge. It is about our belief system, our mindset, just getting in the way of us taking the action that we need to do in order to, grow our business into the next steps. Now, before I launch into that, I just want to just have a quick summary of like marketing and selling. Marketing simply is talking to people, how you talk to people. And I like to think about my broadcast channels, like my podcast is a broadcast channel, my social media is a broadcast channel, my email marketing is a broadcast channel. Chatting to people at the end of the class is a broadcast channel. Turning up and covering a class is a broadcast channel. Offering to deliver a session within a charity event is a broadcast channel. Choosing to run a one-off event, a workshop where people pay to come to work with you is a broadcast channel. Okay. Any interaction where you have with people, any action that you take where you say, hey, this is me. This is who I am. This is what I do. This is how I can help you. Do you have an energetic resonance with me and my offers? Yeah, that is the broadcast channel. And then the end the end process of this is, do you want it? It's selling. And like we separate marketing and selling. And there's all these strategies out there for marketing, all these strategies for selling. And actually, it's just really, really simple. The chat on the surface, the challenge is you have to find the broadcast channels that work for you. You have to intentionally broadcast on your broadcast channels. And you also just have to know that you can't be on everywhere all the time. You can't, when you first start out, it would be insanity to think, right, I'm going to build my mailing list. I'm going to build my website. I'm going to nail my content strategy and how I like to show up on social media. I'm going to start my YouTube channel. Oh, and I've heard that LinkedIn is the place to be. Can you imagine? Oh, and I'm going to plan my yoga classes. Can you imagine how overwhelming it is? So you have to let it evolve. You really, really have to let it evolve. You have to be in this vibration of trust, knowing that I'm on my path, knowing that I'm right where I'm meant to be, knowing that it is a delicate balance, a beautiful dance between energy and action, honoring your own energies, giving yourself time and space to regulate your own energy, keep up with your own yoga practice, go for walks in nature, one restorative yoga pose a day, do some breath work, whatever helps to regulate your energy. I love walking my dog, one restorative yoga pose a day. Meditation is not every day, but definitely involved in my week, and majorly going in the sea and surfing. That's how I regulate my energy. Okay. I know I have to take those actions in order to, when I talk to people, when I take those physical actions, the doing, the masculine, like marketing and writing an email and learning a new system, a new process, refining my content strategy on social media, and then making new offers or selling my existing offers. The energy behind all of that really matters. And the only person that's responsible for my energy is me. Okay. On that topic, okay, email marketing. I've lost count this week on how many the conversations I've had with those in my mentorship program about making those steps into email marketing. Because I know it can sound scary, right? Email marketing, hang on a minute. I trained to be a yoga teacher. I trained to be a Pilates teacher. I'm a service provider. I do massage therapy, Reiki, whatever your services is, counseling, coaching, mentoring, whatever the service is, right? It can seem like it's taking you away from sharing your gifts with the world. I know, right? But I want you to know that, first of all, it's not that hard as you think. Your beautiful brain will tell you it's hard. And once you get into the practice, once you get into the habit, once you get into the rhythm of utilizing email marketing, you'll suddenly be like, why did I not do this sooner? If you are one of these people right now who are like heavily feeling like you're heavily reliant on social media, you might not be heavily posting, but posting on social media, that's the main way that you're talking to people, and you're like, I am just shouting into the void. I want you to know you are shouting into the void largely. Now, I don't want you to stop posting on social media, right? Social media is a free place where you can build community, build connection, call out your tribe. And this is what we're doing when we're marketing. It doesn't matter whether it is walking around with our flyers, boots on the ground, inviting people, talking to people in face about our offers, or at the end of a class, at the end of the session, saying, hey, I've also got this, would you like it? Or going on social media and putting out something that says, hey, this is who I am, this is what I stand for, these are my values, these are my offers, do you want it? Or doing that on a website, or doing that on your email. All of it is basically you energetically putting yourself out there and saying, hey, this is me. Do you energetically vibe with me? Right? Is there a resonance or is there a dissonance? And the thing is, we don't want people to have a dissonance with us, because we don't want anyone to think, oh, I don't like that person. I had like not direct feedback. I had feedback from someone the other day that somebody wasn't going to train with me because I talk too much. And I'm like, actually, that is such powerful feedback, because what do I go on about all the time? Why is this podcast my main source of marketing? How I build community connection with you guys. I can talk for Britain, my darling. I literally can talk for Britain. Yeah, it is who I am, and I cannot and will not change that. I couldn't suppress that. I couldn't suppress that in my training and my mentoring services. So that person feels like I talk too much and I'm overwhelming her. Well, I am completely the wrong trainer for her. And I'm so glad she realized that. And she's not going to come and do one of my training courses because she wouldn't enjoy it. Do you see how dissonance is so important? It's as important as resonance. And I think if you are repelling people, it's a good sign, because you'll also be calling people in. Anyway, let's get back onto the topic of today's podcast, email marketing. And, it might not necessarily be the first thing that you lean towards, but I actually think it possibly should be. I know, like, instinctively, when we start a business, we'll probably think the easiest place to go for most of us is social media, particularly if we're using it personally, because we'll understand it. And like, literally, I want you to know the best system, the easiest systems, the best place to start is where you feel most comfortable, where it is most possible for you to take action, right? But if you are just on social media, I've done a podcast on this, is one of the early ones. This is a very dangerous playing ground to be on, because first of all, you don't own it. Okay, Meta owns it. Mark Zuckerberg owns it. So if it disappears tomorrow, you lose all that community. If you're hacked, you should have two-step authentication to avoid that. But if you're hacked, you lose it. Or if the Meta bots decide that you violated something and they shut down your account, and it's incredibly difficult to find someone in Meta to talk to resolve this. Okay, so do not rely on social media. I don't want us to, like, I'm deeply grateful for it. It's a free platform. I love showing up on Instagram. I am very, very grateful for it, but just be aware it's a community that you don't own, right? Then also that feeling of shouting into the void, you are, right? I think it's like 2 to 5% of your community will see one post in one post. You post something, whatever it is, it has a shelf life on, this is on social media, of about 12 hours. It is really, really short-term content, which really, to get your message across, you have to be very repetitive on social media. And pretty consistent, which does and does not suit everyone. But I'm very consistent on social media. I'm a generator. I enjoyed showing up on social media. I enjoy planning my content. I've practiced it pretty hard, I won't lie. So it doesn't take me a lot of time. I know plenty of people where it is draining. They cannot be consistent. They don't want to be on it that much. And I get it. So how can you make it work for you? How can you find a rhythm, an energetic rhythm, and a way of like being on the platform that works for you? But if it's not for you, how else could I build that community and connection? And a very, 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 how many times can I say very, 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 very powerful way is email marketing. And I feel like actually leading the charge a bit, like where maybe this should be the first place that we go, because people go, oh, I need to build a website. And website, like how many of us are website builders? I'll pay someone to build my website. That can be a big investment. Okay. And even if you're paying someone, like designing and writing your website, it's a big job. It's a big job. Okay. And if it's the first thing you set yourself to do, I mean, it could take you many, many months before that website's done and you're out, and before you start making offers, making connections and working. Okay. But you could set yourself up, and there are other platforms on MailerLite Tomorrow. You could use that to create a link that invites people to join your mailing list. You could use that for free, by the way, to create a landing page, a one-page website that says, hey, this is me, class is coming soon, workshops coming soon, whatever it is, join my mailing list to be first to hear about it. And that could be your link on social media. That could be your link that you share on your personal Facebook page, and you tell all your friends to share, and you begin to collect people into this email. And then you send them an email. Start to tell them a little bit about yourself. So I always like to think story, connection, offer. Okay. Or connection sale. So like a general template for an email would be something like have a story. So I tend to do a weekly email, and I like to share a little bit of story from my week, like either family related, either surfing related. My email that went out today, wet and windy in Cornwall, for example, on one of my wet and windy days, this is what happened. So I build that connection, and then I'm like, oh, and next thing is like, if you would like to work with me, if you'd like to train with me, if you'd like to be mentored by me, here's what's coming up, here are my offers. And then connection, make an offer, and then sometimes you don't have to do it all the time, but add some value, give something, not necessarily give too much away for free, but have you got something where you could direct somebody to your free stuff? Do you have a couple of videos up on YouTube, for example? I direct people pretty much all the time to my podcast. Okay, so let's get into this question, right? I'm going to read it out because like I said, on the surface, it is email marketing question. And this is a teacher that's been teaching for about 5 years now. And you do, so if at first email marketing feels too much to start up, like there comes a point where you're like, I'm ready for a new system. So your broadcast channels, will expand and evolve over time if you let them. That allows your visibility to expand and evolve over time, if you let it. And then you do pick up a momentum that it does get easier. So if it's feeling hard for you right now, I want you to know that actually you're not shouting into the void with any of it. Flyers, social media, talking to people, networking in person, networking online, however you are building this connections and community, it is never ever like wasted effort. What it is these tiny actions that are all adding up to a sense of momentum. And many of us, me included, get frustrated in the why hasn't it happened yet? Why hasn't it happened yet? And how can I be in, and this is always a question for me, I ask myself, how can I be in the vibration of trust that is coming, that these little steps that I take every day to build my connection community all add up? And if you're like, I haven't got time to take it every day, I have 1 hour a week, to build community connection, that 1 hour a week. These are the actions I take, and I know that there is a compound effect happening, out into the energy, the unseen. I have to have faith that that compound effect is happening. and know that, any day now I'm going to meet it. Okay, so the question goes, I've been slowly building my email list over the past few years, but it's still quite small, approximately 114 people. Now, before I go any further than that, I would rather have, and I would rather those that I work with, I would rather people have a super engaged small email list than a large list that isn't engaged. That goes, to be honest, for any audience, but let's stick with email marketing. Generally speaking, statistics is like a good open rate. So a good like engagement rate is around 40 to 50, 60%. It depends on the size of your list. The bigger your list, actually, the less the engagement is. Let me take this down into like a really simple mathematical thing that I can give you an example. If you have 100 people on your list, right? And 80 people are engaged, opening your emails and buying your offers, you've got a brilliant business, right? If you have like 500 people on your list and God, the mass, like you've got about 50 people that are like opening your emails and interested, you might have 500 more people in your list, but the person with the smaller list is helping more people, making more money, having a better return on her energy as she shares her services, the energy coming back to her in terms of money and satisfaction and knowing that people are receiving her gifts. So I have a Wix website and use their free Wix email marketing option, which only allows up to 200 people, up to 200 emails, automations per month. So essentially I can only send one per month. The next layer of upgrade still allows only 500 emails per month. I'm trying to explore the most cost-effective way to build my mailing list. I've had a quick look at MailerLite, which you mentioned in the workshops, but I find the whole email marketing thing completely overwhelming, full of language I just don't understand. I'm not very tech savvy. I seem to have gotten stuck on simply verifying my account, as it will only let me use my email address, which ends in the yogabatch@co.uk, but not the email address I use, which I'd have to pay extra for that email. I will talk about that in a minute. I also don't understand how I can potentially offer some kind of sign up newsletter lead magnet thing and still comply with GDPR. Whenever I try to look into the whole newsletter email marketing, I fall down the whole rabbit hole of confusion and overwhelm, and then I just don't make any changes. So much here. Okay, so what's the best system for me? If you have a Wix website, Wix has integrated email marketing into it. And they do, if you want to send a certain amount of emails, do automation, they will ask you to charge for it. So this teacher's got two choices. She could hop over to MailerLite, which would, the bottom like option for MailerLite is completely free. I can't remember, you do get to send a lot of emails, and you do get to have automation for free. Okay. But the only help support for that is, the videos, the blog posts. There's no like in-person, there's no sort of like support where you can actually chat to someone on MailerLite. So the first thing that I would say to this teacher here is 100% better the devil you know. What is the cost to upgrade? It's actually not a huge amount. Is it £9 a month? Is it £20 a month? Okay, that's £5 a week. What does that actually then translate? Because we look at that cost and think, I don't want to add in any more cost into my business. And I am a huge fan of like only bringing in additional costs when you're financially in a position to do so. But I say she's here. She's got the system. She's got it in Wix. She's got it set up. She knows how to use it. But it is now hit a point where it's limiting. She can't actually do a lot of selling. She can only sell a certain amount of emails. And she's still got some space. She's only got 114 people on her list. She could have up to 200 within the free plan on Wix. But she's going to be hitting that brick wall soon. So it's a time versus cost investment. Yes, you could go over to MailerLite. You could learn that. You could change it over to that. You can then integrate that into your Wix system, or for whatever the extra cost is, not a huge amount, you can stick with Wix because you know it. It integrates. You have a Wix website, so it's going to be the system that integrates best into your website. And to be fair, you can change systems in the future. This comes down to mindset. What is my next best available step? And it is sticking with Wix, sticking with the devil you know, sticking with the system you know, and investing into that next layer so you can take this form of marketing into the next layer and make more sales. or test it to see if it makes more sales. Because if it doesn't, what's the worst that's going to happen? You unsubscribe from the upgrade. Then there's a few things here in terms of email compliance. So as of the 1st of Feb, if you are using any email marketing platform, and I'm going to list, I've talked about MailerLite, I'm going to list some of the other ones that are really good and I would recommend as well. So MailerLite, MailChimp, ConverterKit, ActiveCampaign, FlossDesk, Substack. Okay, I'm just recently come across Substack and I absolutely love it. If I remember, I will talk about Substack at the end of this. They all have pros and cons. They all have different prices. They all do certain things for free and certain things at this price. The best system. So we'll go down a rabbit hole. I'm got an email marketing system. I will research all of these, go down this massive rabbit hole, completely overwhelmed. Like if you don't have an email marketing system and you don't yet have a website, go to MailerLite. Okay. If you do have a website, what I would be considering, and you don't have email marketing, I would be considering what is the easiest, what website platform I'm using best integrates, and most of them integrate, but what is the easiest one to integrate into my website? What's going to be the path of least resistance here? Okay. Or if you already have a system, stick with your system. This is procrastination. Okay. Now you do have to have a professional domain email, and yes, you do have to pay for it. So I can no longer send out emails via MailerLite using my amyjones@yogagmail.com. It has to be my info@amyyoga.com email address, which is hosted for me on SiteGround. You can pay for your email if you don't have a professional email domain. You don't need a website. You can pay for it on GoDaddy. There are other places, but GoDaddy is like the easiest place to get domain names for websites and have professional emails professional email domains. Okay, that's just one of those things that you just have to have. And yes, you do have to pay a little bit extra for it, but it's not a huge amount versus the impact that email marketing is going to have on your business. I'll give you an example, right? After COVID, and we came back to classes and class numbers were like smaller because of distancing, I was filling my classes on email. I was sending out the email saying classes are back, here's the spaces available, book here. By the time I went to social media, I was like, my classes are full. Then I go to my email if I've got anything, new class, new workshop, new offer, this is coming up, would you like to be first to hear about it? Priority booking, join the wait list. I then have a group of people that I know are interested in this. I then offer it to the wait list first, and this is how you can sell your retreats. Well, when you go onto Instagram and you see someone selling sold out retreats and you're like, well, she didn't even post about those retreats. How the hell is she doing that? She's doing it via email marketing. She's talking directly into people's inboxes, and she's got an engaged group of people who want her retreat offers. They're on the wait list. They want to be first to hear. And the minute it goes onto the email, but now they're like, I'm in. This is available to you too. Okay. So you GDPR compliance, your email marketing system will ensure that you are GDPR compliant. Okay, it will store the data for you. That is their responsibility, not yours. And every email, I cannot send an email out on MailerLite without having the unsubscribe. If I try to do that, MailerLite goes bright red and go, no, you've not often. The only sort of challenge will be is when you're setting up your system. Let's say you've got people's emails, they've been coming to classes, they've booked on, but they're not on your mailing list. You have to have permission to add their name to the mailing list, right? So what I would do is, so you could there's several ways around it. You can say, hey, I'm starting a mailing list. Would you like to be on it? The easiest thing to do is I'm going to be, bringing my email marketing into a system. I'm using an email marketing platform. I'd like to add you onto my mailing list. Could you let me know if you do not want that? Okay. And just send them an individual email and they can say yay or nay, add them on. And then they get the email and there's this big, massive unsubscribe button at the bottom. You have been GDPR compliant, okay? I'm not tech savvy. No, nor am I, right? Nor am I, okay? I was queen of cash. You know my story. I was queen of cash up until March 2020. I did not have email marketing prior to March 2020. Like, I really do get this. And I tell you what, I got it pretty quick when lockdown happened, because I realized it was the easiest way to communicate to people without having to send out mass individual emails or mass individual WhatsApp messages. It reduced my admin, it improved my sales. Remember, we're not talking about just money, we're talking about time. Systems buy you time. Time is so much more valuable than money. Your time is so much more valuable than money. Oh my God. This is why you need an email marketing system. It's going to save you time. You might have to set aside some time to do it. And you have to tell yourself, what are the first steps? And so let's go back to this lady here. She's set up. She's got her first step, right? The first step is set up. The second step is, if you have anyone email because they've booked a class, they're in your world already, ask if you can add them into your email list, create that first list. Then you'll say, hey, join my email list, be first to hear about classes and events, join a wait list, get people onto the email. Then you can actively focus on growing that. And that could be this freebie. Here's a free thing, join my list, you get the free thing. But there's so many free things out there now, right? That still works. But I actually think just also being like, waitlist, people love a waitlist. People like to think that they're going to get priority booking. And if you're saying it's priority booking for your mailing list, make sure that is the case, right? So this teacher here has got to stop going down rabbit holes that are procrastination. Why do we go down procrastination rabbit holes? Because it distracts us from, the fear of investing in case I lose money, the fear of taking this action and nobody else coming onto my list, the fear of growing my list but nobody else buying, right? Listen, if you stay in non-action, then nobody else is going to come on your list. If nobody else is going to know about your wonderful offers, and selling will remain hard. If you think, what's my next available step? Okay, take that upgrade. It's funny when you invest in something and you upgrade, how that then ripples through into your other actions, because you've said, I know I can do this. I know I'm ready to expand into this next step. So it's just such an interesting question, that, because it seems so about the tech, the challenges of the tech, how difficult it is, the decisions we made, the research that we've taken, and now we're really confused. It feels like all of that stuff. And actually, when was the podcast episode where I did 80-20 rule? This is a beautiful example of 80-20 rule. All that is really stopping this teacher from taking the next step, investing money in and growing her list so it works better for her, investing time in thinking, okay, maybe I'll send out a few more emails. And if you're posting regular on social media, you have no excuse to not be sending out a few more emails, because you can just repurpose that. And then if you're sending out a few more emails, then you've got a few more posts on social media. This is why it just gets easier. Your visibility expands, your momentum builds. But it was just the beautiful brain saying, you're not tech savvy, you're not meant for this, whereas you are. Yeah, you are. It's like, remember, there must be a yoga pose, there must be a yoga poser, there must be physically something that you thought, I would find that hard, I'm not sure I can do that. Yet you set aside some time, you practice, you do the hard work, you work through the stuff that tells you can't do it, and you come to a place where you're like, why did I find that so hard? That is the story here. Okay, my darling. So this is all the stuff that goes down, in my mentorship program. So if you are a yoga teacher, I would love to invite you to join the wait list for my mentorship program. Doors are next opening on the 22nd of April. It's a 6-month mentorship program for yoga teachers. We cover all the hats that you wear as a business owner and a yoga teacher. There's teaching support in there as well. If you are female service-based entrepreneur, female service-based provider, as you may have known if you'd listened to the last few podcast episodes, I am coming for you too. All this wonderful work that I do around mindset, energy, business strategy with yoga teachers, you know what? It applies to you all, right? And I know, I'm just going to go out there and say it, that one of the reasons why I'm here, and this time space reality, as Esther Hicks would say, is to help more of you, to help more women share their gifts with the world and make money. Okay, so business strategy, energy, and mindset. I'm coming for you all. It is a little bit of a watch this space. The best place for you, if you're like, I'm loving this, Amy, more of this, please. The best place to hang out is initially on LinkedIn. Oh, that reminds me, Substack, very, very quickly. I've been looking into Substack for some of the people on my mentorship program, and actually personally myself. Substack is email marketing, completely free again, but it produces like an archive. So it becomes almost like an email marketing blog post. I'm on a few people's Substacks, and I'm really loving Substack as a place, as a nice, quiet place to build your community in an email marketing form, but also like there's an app and they can go and see your previous posts, your previous emails. I'm really, really loving Substack. So that's another one, guys, that you can check out. And particularly if you you like writing or you do a lot of blogging, check out Substack. All right, my darlings, I will see you all next week.